This is the UX session, so if that's what you wanted, you're in the right place. We're going to be talking a lot about UX stuff and finishing with a really tremendous panel discussion. We were talking just beforehand, and I can tell you it got very lively just in the 5 minutes that we were talking. So I think you're in for a treat at the end. So stick around before you dive out for those beers. Before we get started on that, though, I want to talk to you about some new research that nScreen Media has just done, and I'm actually going to be drilling into one very specific area of that research. We're going to be looking at how Europeans, and in particular people in the UK, although I will be talking about UK and Germany and Sweden in a little bit, how they find something to watch. This is just one very small part of a much bigger report, which is coming out in about, in about 2 weeks. At the end of the presentation, I'll tell you how to get that. It is free to you. What do? We talk to 500 people in each of UK, Germany, and Sweden. And really, I was fulfilling a dream here with this report. I don't know about you, but I get kind of frustrated looking at data because it seems to chop everything up, and it's very difficult to figure out how many people are watching online TV and broadcast TV. How many people are doing both of those together? How many people, getting all of the subgroups? This report will answer all those questions for you. So, well worth your time, I think, picking it up, particularly it's free. So, let's talk about how TV viewers find something to watch. Now, I'm going to ask you all to be brutally honest. Be honest with me. So, put your hand up if you either watch live TV or pay TV. That's pretty much everybody. Let's leave your hands up, leave your hands up. Okay. Now, thinking about the major way that you search for something to watch. Leave your hand up if the most way you find something to watch is flipping channels. Wow. Thank you for your honesty. I've got a feeling that a lot of these other people were actually would have been honest. Well, it turns out that 43% of people say that that's a major way that they find something to watch. How about now we're talking honesty. How many people mostly find something to watch by looking at a paper guide? Hands up. There's one person. Oh, come on. Thank you. There's some real honesty. Thank you, Colin. I know I could rely on him to be honest. Well, it turns out you're not alone. 20% of people in the UK actually still use a paper guide. But the truth is that's not the major way that most people find something. The UK is dominated by pay TV. Sorry, we're going to talk about, just to give you a level set, one of the things we did was we asked, what is the major way that you watch television? Not, do you watch television this way? That's a different question, and that's revealed in the final survey report, which you'll download later. We asked them, which is the major way? The UK, dominated by pay TV. Online, note, is more popular than free TV. People say that is their major service online, more than free-to-air TV, which is quite interesting. Sweden, much more evenly distributed, and Germany, dominated by free-to-air TV. I think we probably all would have guessed that. So keep that in mind as we go through this data, because it does influence how people find something to watch, of course. Now, I do thank you for your honesty, because it turns out for pay TV viewers, it's certainly all about the on-screen guide. It's very, very important. It's where they go the most. But you know what? Channel flipping was the second most used mechanism for finding something to watch. In Sweden and the UK, free-to-air viewers prefer the on-screen guide. Germans prefer paper guides and flipping channels. And actually, paper guide was by far the most used thing in the German market. Online viewers rely heavily on the guide provided by the service operators. Device guides are next important. So if you are providing a guide for your online, in the online version of your service, that is the predominant way people will find. And it makes sense, right? We asked them about all sorts of other things like recommendations and voice, you know, just talking to somebody. The really funny thing here, I thought we were all listening to social media. Look at social media all the way at the top there. Turns out most people don't rely on it. They don't even rely on word of mouth, which was actually, that's how we used to find a lot of the stuff we watched, right? I remember hanging out around the water cooler at work, hearing about the great shows that I missed last night and cursing myself. Of course, we never miss anything now because of YouTube, right? Okay, so let's take a quick look at advanced discovery. I'm not going to spend too long on this data. You can examine this in much more detail going forward. So I wanted to first look at cross-service search usage. So in the online world, one of the ways that you can find something to watch is platforms like Apple TV and Roku, not so popular in this market, but Fire TV. They all provide cross-service search facilities. And I, for one, use them quite a lot. Samsung TVs do the same thing. But it turns out that actually not a lot of people use them. Most consumers, in fact, don't use them on a regular basis, which I found a big surprise because most consumers have 2 or more services. So what that means is that most people's experience of finding something to watch in their online world is to go into an app, have a look around, come out, go into the next app, have a look around. So this is not a great user experience. Okay, so that's cross-service search. Let's take a look at voice search. We were talking about voice search, and we'll talk about voice search on the panel. Definitely an emerging area that we should pay attention to. Turns out most people don't really have access. About half in the UK say they don't have access to that. 54% in Germany, and 60% in Sweden. Could be that language, the number of people who actually speak a language, means that some of the geographies here are getting delayed because they're not getting products that understand their language. Of those that have access, a quarter don't use it. And of those that use it, the smartphone, not the remote, is the most frequent way that people search for something to watch. This is disconnected from the television experience in most cases, right? Unless you happen to have a Chromecast. Or, as you'll hear from Herman, have his service, but we'll get to that in a moment. So, the third thing we wanted to know about was recommendations. So we asked about if people were seeing recommendations, and the good news is, well, yeah, most people are seeing recommendations in one of the services they use, which is good, right? That's the bad. The bad news is that few think the suggestions accurately reflect their interests, and that's actually my experience as well in the US market. I find the same thing. Don't really want to watch the things that get recommended to me generally. So what does that mean to us in the business of providing content to consumers? Well, it means that for now, it's about the guide. We have to deliver the best guide experience that we can. And I want to offer to you 2 pieces of advice that was revealed by the research that I think are actionable and that you can actually do something about right now, today. So the first thing we asked was we asked people about how effective the graphics are that you're shown when you look at a show? We just asked them, how influential is that in your experience of getting you to go watch something? And it turns out it's actually very influential. So more than a half of each country said show graphics were important or very important in helping them decide to watch a show or movie. That means great graphics work, and I'll tell you, if you're a parent or you're younger, 18 to 24, it was dramatic how important those two groups felt the graphics were. So, I don't know, parents, you're obviously pretty harried these days. So you're relying on those graphics seems to really help. The other thing that you can do is improve the text recommendations. So again, we asked, how influential are those recommendations in getting you to watch something? And the answer was 3 in 5 or more said the descriptions were somewhat or very influential in their decision over what they watch. So, actionable, this is something you can do about today in your service to get people watching more content and retain your customers. Okay, so I want to thank GraceNote, who is actually sponsoring this session. GraceNote sponsored me to do this research. I'm very grateful to them because, as I said, this is something that I have wanted to do for a long time, and I can't do this and offer this research to you for free unless somebody like GraceNote comes along and sponsors me to do it. So thank you very much, and as I said, here's where you can get that report. That link is live today. So get in there, sign up, and you're done. I will send it to you when it is available in a couple of weeks.